Welcome back, guys, and thanks for taking the time to spend a little time with me. I definitely appreciate that. And we're going to jump right into it, man. I don't know how long this commentary is going to be, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So as you can see, guys, I'm playing NBA Live 16 here. I was playing the Spurs against the Warriors, in respect to the game that was played last night. All right, now I'm just going to talk about a couple things here, man. As you can see in the title, this is an open letter to the developers of NBA Live and that franchise and EA Sports in general. And this is just how I feel. And let me just say that before we get started. These are my opinions. None of this is fact that you could take to the bank or what have you, but these are just my opinions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I really believe that NBA Live 17 will be the last chance for NBA Live. I think that's the last chance. And not only, do I feel that way from, I guess, a company standpoint, I'm saying that in regards to, public perception or acceptance, I guess you would say, by the people, by the consumer. Because at the end of the day, let's just keep it all the way real. NBA 2K 16 and the NBA 2K franchise is the better basketball game at this moment. There's no way around that. And that's just, again, it's my opinion. From top to bottom, as far as modes and gameplay, features and quality and, animation quality, things of that nature, it's just the better game. At the same time, the reason why a guy like myself and others would like NBA Live to be a valid competitor is because you want to have more than one option. As much as people put NBA 2K on a pedestal, NBA 2K, in my opinion, is a very frustrating game at times because it has a lot of two-man sequences and you get stuck in animations and, it lacks user control. It's a lot of things that you could definitely complain about in that game. Look at all the patches where people were saying you're able to get off too many shots and then there were times where you weren't hitting enough shots. It's just, that game has a ton of problems. For as good a game as it is, it has its problems, just like any other game. The online servers, all of these different things that you can look at NBA 2K and be like, I don't like that. So that's the reason why I want a valid competitor. Now, moving forward to NBA Live, it's just, the gameplay itself, in terms of what it offers, is not really that bad. The problem is the way the game actually plays. And I hope you guys understand my difference. And what I mean there. It has decent AI at times. It has good ball tangibility at times. It has, the way the plays, when you call a play and how the players move and things like that and get into position and, how the CPU AI will attack your defense and things like that. It's in the game. It's a lot of basketball that is in NBA Live, but again, the problem comes in how it plays out, how it looks, the animation quality. It's such a choppy game. It's so stiff. It just makes it hard sometimes for you to enjoy the same way that you would enjoy the competitor because of the way it looks. And the way a game looks and feels that's most of it right there. Those are the two key elements in user satisfaction. How does a game feel? How does a game look? And then once you get past that, then people can look and take a deep dive into the game to see what it actually offers. A guy like myself, me being someone who's always searching for simulation and the best products and trying to find the best in each product, whether it's the best product or not, I'm able to play an NBA Live and recognize the good in the game. A lot of people in the community have said that. I got to give a shout out to NY Kia as well as, Prime. These are two guys. Well, Prime in particular, Prime is a guy that, he is an NBA Live fan, and, definitely if you want to know the things that really needs to be done to the live game, since he's more of a veteran, make sure you check out his videos. I know he did a series in regards to what needs to be done. So check that out for a more in-depth, analysis or, feature set or what have you that needs to be in the game. But even a guy like NY Kia is a guy that, he always takes every game at its face value and looks at the positives, looks at the negatives. And, a guy like him, guys like us are able to recognize that there is good in NBA Live. It's just the problem is it's so the static movement, and it's just so choppy, and it lacks animation quality and animation depth. There's just animations that are not there. You know what I mean? It's really no real signature, moves and things like that. It makes it very tough to compete with another product that on the surface looks phenomenal. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the reason why the masses are not going to give the game a chance. All I ask from NBA Live right now, if you take a look at this game right here, and like I said, you can see decent basketball being played. All I ask from NBA Live at this moment, while it's continuing to build, is to make it the smoothest playing game possible. Animation fluidity, player movement, animation quality, more animations in the animation library, and just make it a smooth playing game. And I think that right there will draw everyone back in to at least take a look at it to give it a chance. Because let's be honest, that's the reason why the masses don't play the game. It just doesn't look and feel as fluid as other games on the market. And I'm not talking about just basketball. I mean, you think about every other game out, whether it be sports games or another genre. How many other games feel better than NBA Live at the current moment? And also, when you look at terms, in terms of like sales and things like that, I just don't think the game is going to survive. It's just my opinion. And I really feel like Live 17 is the last chance. We gave you Live 14. We understood it was going to be rough. We looked for better in Live 15. It was better, but it still wasn't quite there. And we're thinking, okay, the third game is going to be the game that's really going to be solid. And you can't really say that about Live 16. So I think, man, this fourth game has to be a game that really, shakes the ground, so to speak. It just has to, just be smooth. If you can smoothen out the gameplay, and like I said, man, get the animation quality up, the number of animations that can trigger, get that up, and get that stiffness out of the game, that stiff, robotic, like stagnant movement. I don't even know how to really explain the movement. I mean, I think everyone watching this video understands what I'm saying, that choppiness and the delay, times like when you kick the ball out to someone at the top of the key or whatever, and there's like this delay in responsiveness. They don't just pull. You hit the button, you thinking they're going to pull up for the three, and it's like a second or two delay. All of that stuff has to go. That's just my opinion, man. It's just how I feel. Like I said, this is just my open letter. Y'all got to put everything y'all got into NBA Live 17. Because it's getting to a point where it's almost like, I'm pretty sure it's more costing, more costly to make the game than it is, in return. You're not really, at least my opinion, I don't know the numbers. I'm just saying, I'm just looking at statistics. There's no way the game is making a large quantity of money. And I know there is cost involved with making the game. So that's just it, man. Guys, that's how I feel. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say as well. All right? Until next time, let me know what you think. Once again, guys, thanks for coming by. And if you want to interact with me live, head on over to Sim Standard Radio every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, along with Smitty and Azure Effect. The call-in number for the show is down in the description. Now, of course, for more content, go ahead and click the link above. And before you go, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. All right, guys. Until next time, lights out.